So the dude that started all this warfare against me that I cannot stand. I don't hate anybody, but y'all, come on, let's just keep it real. I think we all got people we don't like. But this individual, the one that slept with his best friend's girlfriend, the one that looked like a man, the girl that, I mean, I'm, you know what, maybe I shouldn't say she looked like a man, but she ain't nothing cute. She got them hard features. So you sisters, y'all, if y'all are attractive sisters, y'all know what I'm talking about. The women that got them hard looking features, I mean, they look like they could punch a tree and the tree split in half. Okay. So anyway, the girl had a cousin that I used to hang out with, because me and her used to hang together on the weekends. And of course, the only time that she could come pick me up on the weekends is when the girl that she normally hang out with was not available. And the reason why she wasn't available is because she was hooking up with somebody's husband. But that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to get into that. It ain't none of my business, but I'm not going to get into that. But anyway, so the dude that started all this warfare, or the bum that started all this warfare against me, the one that slept with the one that I said looked like a man, he could not stand her female cousin that I used to hang out with. Okay? Because I remember him saying, I can't stand her. Da, da, da. He would just always act like he just could not stand her. He would always make those comments, right? And I'm thinking, okay, why would you keep saying in front of me you can't stand her? You know, me and her, we either hung out. I don't know if we were hanging out at the time, but we used to hang out. I'm not going to say she was a friend, no. But, we, you know, the type of people, you just around them. And y'all just do stuff together. You know, they ain't no real friend to you. But you might not be now no real one to them. It's just like, okay, we just hang out. That's it. It was that type of deal. And, you know, she didn't have nobody else to hang out with on the weekends, because I don't think she had no friends either, other than the one girl that was going with the married man, but then she hung out with. But she would come pick me up whenever that girl was not around, because they were both scheming together and doing their little thing. I ain't got nothing to do with that, because I wasn't doing what they were doing. I was just trying to get out of the house. But anyway, he would just always be like, he couldn't stand her. But you know what dawned on me? Because like I said, he had slept with her cousin, who was his best friend's girlfriend. Okay? But what dawned on me, I bet he has slept with her. And that's why he can't stand her. Either she told it, or maybe maybe I shouldn't be so presumptuous. But it all makes sense, because what male sits around with that much animosity towards a female? Because he would just say, I can't stand it. Da, 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 da. That's how he would say it, something like that. I can't stand it. Da, 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 da. Because I do believe that the majority of those people in that town have screwed one another. And that's why they were so adamant in getting together, coming up against me, because, you know, I've always been a homebody. You know, I believe in having a relationship, not just sleeping around. I don't believe in that at all. And I know what I stand for and what I've always stood for. But when you take a bunch of whoremongers, and they already jealous of you and hating on you, mad because you ain't whoring around in the street, so it really ain't nothing they can say. They will come together and make up a pack of lies about you when they feel like you are being put in a position to where you can expose them. Wait a minute. Can I talk about it? Because anybody in their right mind know that Franklinton was Whoreville. Hello. They didn't call it Funky Town for nothing. Hello. Whoreville. With them hole in the wall clubs. My gosh. Whoreville. But it makes sense. You know, things that people do and reactions that people have sometimes, it may not make sense to you at the time until it is dropped into your spirit. I bet she is somebody he done had sex with. And maybe word got back to her cousin, the one that I said looked like a man. And maybe that caused some type of rift. Or maybe not. I don't know. It makes sense though. Because I do know that girl, she was the main one calling me on the phone on, I guess it was Saturday nights, asking me. I guess she was trying to find out what I was doing. And her first question would be, so have you heard from blah, blah, blah? But she wouldn't call him by his nickname. She would call him by his real name. His name that his mother or his father gave him. And I said, oh, no, I heard from him anytime. I know it's kind of personal, but I'll just put that out there. I said, oh, no, because I got to give y'all the gist of a little touch of the story here. And I said, oh, no, I just heard from him anytime. You better watch them females that call you on the phone, my sisters. And one of the first words out of their mouths is, have you heard from the person that you consider yourself dating? Because either they asking for somebody else or they're asking for themselves. Because a lot of these hoes that done slept with these dudes, they'll act like they can't stand them. But I guarantee you, they could get them again. Hello. That's why people faking phony. I ain't got time for it. People put on fronts and wear masks. Come on now. Come on now. It's making sense. Because I already knew that, I don't want to give away too much, y'all, but I already knew he had hooked up with her cousin, the one that I said kind of got the man features. But I bet he been with her too. Because this dude is a whore. He's one of them, this ain't no disrespect to nobody. He's one of them project derogatory names that people usually use. You catch my drift? Now, that's not to nobody, no projects, because I don't know nobody, no projects. But there is a certain stereotypical type of dude that people say, oh, well, that's a project, da-da-da. Now, don't get offended out there. I'm not talking about anybody living in projects. I'm talking about this bum that came up against me. Because there's a certain stereotype that goes with certain dudes that are out of that environment that are whorish and promiscuous. And he was one of them. And he was definitely somebody that ran the streets. And as I stated in another conference, without giving too much away, was at a club at an early age. So his parents didn't care what he did. His mother probably thought it was cute because she was probably in there doing the same thing. Hello. You know. So, not to give too much away, but it just makes sense now. I bet it makes sense to me. I bet they have slept together. And that would definitely explain a lot of the hostility, the extra hostility that a lot of those bum bucket females from that area had towards me. Even the ones that I used to hang out with. It just explains it. Because if they had not slept with them, they wanted to. But y'all, the plot even thickens even deeper than that. But I guess I'll have to end it right there. Sorry, y'all. Just stay tuned. I know them bums back in Franklinton wish I would shut up. Well, Tricks, if you want me to shut up, why don't you put your punk, raggedy, cowardice tails together again and make me shut up then? If you couldn't do it the first time, you ain't gonna do it now. Because I ain't scared of none of you. Never have been. Dummies. Take all them darn monkeys for one person. Let me hush before. Never mind. Lord forgive me, because you know what? I'm not going to put that junk in Franklinton on no innocent little monkey. No, I'm not going to do it. But anyway, y'all, that's pretty much all I have to say. It's just, I'm just saying, you guys, as things are running through my mind, I have to put it out. Because a lot of things are making sense now. I bet the dude that formed all this warfare against me has slept with the girl that I used to hang out with back in the day. Because I know she was a whore. I know that for a fact. Who didn't know that? Trying to talk and act like somebody she ain't. I remember she would be on the phone one time and something, I don't know if somebody had called her a whore or something, and she was on the phone. This is how she talked, y'all. Well, I know I've gotten kind of fast, but you know, da-da-da-da. And that's what she said one night on the phone. Talking about she knows she's gotten kind of fast. No, you a whore, tramp. Gotten kind of fast. Yeah, you fast to be a hoe. Hello. And it about rhymed with the nickname they gave her. Ho, okay. They had a nickname. We would call her and other people would call her. And she just thought she was the stuff. Spreading her slit tail around all in Oxford. And Franklinton and everywhere else too. With that funky looking black cat outfit she had on that night over there at Food Corner. My gosh. Walking across the lot like she thought she was sexy or something. Child. Child, please. Child, please. Even a dude looked at you. Y'all, let me shut up before I give away too much. But them hoes in Franklinton thought they had it going on. Y'all didn't. You sluts. You just had like-minded individuals that was pumping you up to make you think you was something you won't none of you find. You busted looking busters. The chicks and the females and the dudes. That town was just trash. That town was, and them hoes thought they was all of that. And don't give them no BMWs. Oh my gosh. They just thought they were the joint in that little bitty country hick backwoods molded spot town. How you all that in that old bum bucket town? You ain't in the city. Ryan man, like they thought they was town superstars. You know what? They a trip. That whole town is a doggone trip. Doggone trip. Not to mention them dried up tramps that was sleeping with them old men for money. Y'all sluts. They ain't got nerve to put down stank mouths on somebody like me who sit at home all the time watching TV. I know good and well you ain't put your mouth on this here. Nasty trash. And I'm talking about my enemies that came up against me. And the thing about it is, I know it was a lot of them because I remember that bum coming through the door saying something about all them enemies you got, all them. I'm not saying he said it like that, y'all. So forgive me, Father, if I'm saying it incorrect. But anyway, the person was saying something. I didn't flinch. I didn't blink. I don't care about no enemies. I don't care. I don't care about no enemies. And to my enemies, I would say this. If you put yourselves together and come up against me again, I'm coming back at you again. Period. Point blank. Boom. Like that. Okay. Straight like that. Please, give me a break. Figuratively speaking. You could try it again and you won't get the same results. And you gonna get an even better chick bringing you down. Believe that. I ain't scared of none of you. I don't care who and I don't care how many. You can call me Samson Jr. Okay? Now back to you guys. Samson slayed, I think it was 1,000 men with the jawbone of an ass. Well, I slayed a multitude of enemies by the power of God, Jesus Christ. A multitude of enemies that were a jack. You know what? I can't say the word I want to say. A jack. You know what? Samson used the jawbone, and I slayed the actual creatures that were the A, and they could fill in the blank. Okay? That's how I feel about it. Fear don't live here. Strategy does. But anyway, you guys, that's all I have for now. Like I said, I ain't slow to the game. I ain't slow to nothing. But I'll make somebody think I am. But yeah, I definitely believe that dude has been with the girl I used to hang with. And I'm not saying for a fact. I'm just saying it's just dropped in my spirit, I feel like. I'm not sure. Or on my mind, rather, not in my spirit. Forget me about it. That's just how I feel. I don't care. Of course not. Is that bone? No, I don't care about any of that. Because like I said, that crowd from that town, they were all, I believe, sleeping with each other. Just sleeping with each other. Stinking and nasty. Promiscuous. Sexually active at a very early age. I'm sitting at home watching TV. A lot of the times. Or even if I did go out, I was just doing nothing. Just, nothing like bad or nothing. I was just watching everybody else run their mouth, listening to them run their mouth, talking about everybody but themselves. But anyway, I guess that's all I have. I don't want to ramble on, but y'all, there was so much stuff going on back in the day, it just don't make no sense. It just don't make no sense. And the way people used to ride around picking at people and calling people names and Oh my God. It was girls that didn't like other girls in the projects. And I think I heard something about them calling social services on somebody so they'll lose their children. And they were doing this at a young age. They were young and that dirty. They called social services, and I guess they were lying and trying to make the girl lose her child or whatever, her children. Some dirty heifers and some dirty wretches. They some dirty wretches. I'm telling you. And then I know there was one that the bum that started all this warfare against me, he was friends with, and I think she and I went to high school together, but she ended up moving to Durham. And I don't know her like that. I know I heard she was dead, and she died during the time that my enemies had come together coming up against me, and she was probably one of them. And I was working at a place, and I overheard some black girls saying that somebody had been killed in Durham, and it was that girl that was acquainted with the bum or friends with the bum, hung out with the bum, that formed all this warfare against me. So like I said, y'all, I'm telling you, touch not mine anointed and do my prophet no harm, because if the dirty bum that called itself putting a knife in my back but didn't, if it was sitting around trash talking me around her, I'm sure she was running her mouth too. But she was somebody that, from what I understood, was supposed to be raised in the church, because in high school she only wore like skirts, and that was back when black folks equated being holy with wearing skirts. But I know of a lot of skirt wearing black hoes. So come on. I'm just gonna tell it like it is. Was having sex and everything, I believe, but the holier than thou mama didn't know. There are older women in that town had their children in church all the time and didn't even know that their daughters, I don't even believe their daughters were even virgins. But they walk around in them old long skirts. They walk around in them long skirts. But they definitely cocked that leg, I'll tell you that much. Hello. Okay. No, okay. Hey, this sister girl right here, I'm just going to tell her like it is. Tell her like it is. Hello. No, you might think your child was something. She was doing the same thing you was doing with her daddy or other men too. But like I said, that town full of hypocrites. I can't stand that town, I'm telling you. And I remember when all that spiritual warfare was going on, I could see all the weirdness that I would get off of other older black women in that town. They just acted strange. But see, they knew they had all this mess going on around me that they thought I didn't know about. I just couldn't stand that town. I just couldn't stand it. To this very day, I just cannot stand that town. It's disgusting. I'm not saying everybody in it. No. If it's not an enemy, I ain't got no problems with you. But I'm talking about the ones that came up against me. You better never come for me no more. Oh, my God. Oh, you messed with the wrong one. Woo, Lord. Oh, my God. You know what? Let me tell y'all something. I'm talking to you guys now. They messed with the wrong one. They picked the fight they just can't handle. Hello. Because I don't lose no battles.